catch my flight to get back to California, and I was even more heartbroken to not be able to stay and help. I finally moved back to Iowa this last September because my mother, who grew up off of Ellis Boulevard, was dying of breast cancer. I thought I came to help her live, but she died about 6 weeks later on October 22nd. I guess that makes the flood the second worst thing I had ever seen. People ask me why I care so much about these people in areas impacted by the flood. Personally, I can't stand to lose any more of my family's history. I cannot fathom what it would have been like to be one of the people who lost everything they owned and their homes. Mr. Mayor and Council, I am here to say that Cedar Rapids has cancer, and you are the doctors who have the ability to find a cure. My concern is that Cedar Rapids is not looking for a cure, but rather treatments and prosthetics. Like my mother, Cedar Rapids was a healthy body before the flood, but the flood is like a tumor. The doctors try to give a patient chemo and radiation to poison and shrink the tumor, just like you have done to these neighborhoods. Just like you are reducing the size of neighborhoods by not letting people into their homes to rebuild, letting them rot so you can call them an imminent threat. Although this method may shrink the tumor, it poisons the entire body. It is very painful to live through. If the doctors are successful at that point, they can remove the tumor. Now that you have gotten enough people out of these neighborhoods, you can remove all the houses. The problem is that there is no cure for the west side. Mayor, you said your guiding principle was to speak up for those who could not speak for themselves, for the rights of those who are destitute, that you would speak up and judge fairly and defend the rights of the poor and the needy. Mayor and Council, these people, your patients, come here every week to speak to you for those who cannot, and you don't listen. Mr. Mayor, you spoke adamantly during your campaign about how important it was for you to continue as Iowa's long-standing tradition to allow people to vote on bond issues. The people did not want a new, improved event center. They want a cure for their town, not prosthetics. Since U.S. Corps of Engineers won't pay for the cure, which would be a levy where you're removing houses, you will then leave these people sick, with no flood, with no hope if there were another flood to hit. There are survivors who say that if cancer came back, they would rather die than go through treatments again. If you made the same effort to get a levy on the west side that you just did for this event center, you would be the doctors who cured Cedar Rapids. All these people want is their health and dignity back. Instead, your legacy will be that of a bad boob job with vulnerable body full of scars.